It was a dreary, cold November evening, with thick fog rolling in from the moor. As the clock struck midnight, I found myself starting my shift at St. Margaret's Hospital, a century-old institution of grey stone walls and echoing hallways. I had been a nurse for several years, but little did I know that this night would challenge me like no other. The task at hand seemed simple enough. I had been assigned to the ward on the 3rd floor, where patients suffering from mysterious illnesses were housed. As I made my way through the dimly lit corridor, the flickering light bulbs casting eerie shadows, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The hospital had an old-world charm, but it also had a reputation for being haunted. As I reached the entrance to the ward, the chill crept deeper into my bones. The heavy oak doors creaked open, revealing a long, narrow hallway with rows of rooms on either side. It felt like stepping into a labyrinth of illness and despair. With each step I took, my heart raced, and a cold sweat formed on my brow. The first patient's room was occupied by Mrs. Hargrove, a frail woman in her late 70s, afflicted with a persistent cough and unsettling hallucinations. I approached her bed cautiously, aware of the doubt that lingered in my own mind. As I adjusted her pillows and administered her medication, a shiver ran down my spine. Mrs. Hargrove's eyes were fixed on the far corner of the room, her gaze piercing the darkness. I turned my attention to the second patient, young Timothy Howard, a boy of no more than 12 years old. He suffered from unexplained sleepwalking episodes that would leave him terrorized and trembling. I had no rational explanation for his condition, but vowed to do my best to help. As I tucked him in, his eyes fluttered open, revealing a vacant stare that seemed to look right through me. A wave of fear washed over me, but I refused to let it consume my resolve. As the night wore on, the ward seemed to change. The whispers of patients turned into hushed screams echoing through the hall. Shadows danced on the walls, morphing into grotesque figures, their distorted features haunting my every step. I told myself that it was merely my imagination, but the fear that gripped my heart refused to wane. The days turned into weeks, and my time in the haunted ward became a never-ending battle between reason and the unexplained. Patient after patient, their conditions grew stranger. Mr. Ashford claimed to see phantom figures with hollowed-out eyes, urging him towards the brink of insanity. Miss Wilson was plagued by an invisible force that strangled her in her sleep, leaving her gasping for breath. Each night, the hospital seemed to offer up a fresh nightmare for me to confront. I reached out to Dr. Henry Grant, the hospital's esteemed physician, hoping he could shed some light on the inexplicable events unfolding within the ward. Dr. Grant was a man of science, unyielding to superstitions, and unfazed by things that lurked in the shadows. We met in his study, surrounded by dusty books and anatomical models. His cold, calculating eyes masked a keen intellect that could unravel the most perplexing of mysteries. As I recounted the strange accounts of the patients, Dr. Grant scratched his chin thoughtfully. He dismissed their experiences as mere delusions, originating from the depths of their troubled minds. With his words, I felt a glimmer of hope, a way to rationalize the unexplainable. But in the darkness of the ward, shadows still danced, mocking our attempts to uncover the truth. Desperata for answers, I turned to more unconventional means. Rumors of the hospital's haunted past had reached my ears, tales of tragic deaths, unavenged spirits, and a lingering malevolence that clung to the walls like cobwebs. In my pursuit of the truth, I sought out Lady Victoria Abernathy, a renowned spiritualist who claimed to have a connection to the otherworldly. Lady Abernathy, a frail woman in her twilight years, agreed to conduct a séance in the deserted ward, where the spirits may be compelled to reveal themselves. As the clock struck midnight, we gathered in the dimly lit room, surrounded by flickering candles and the scent of burning incense. The air crackled with anticipation as Lady Abernathy began to chant in a language I could not comprehend. A sudden chill spread through the room, clenching my heart in an icy grip. Shadows danced across the walls, growing darker and more malicious. Then, a gust of wind blew out the candles, plunging us into complete darkness. A chorus of whispers filled the room, echoing from every corner, as if the spirits themselves had emerged from their veiled existence. And then, silence. When the candles were finally relit, Lady Abernathy had fainted, and I was left shaken by what I had witnessed. The séance had revealed nothing tangible, but it had confirmed the existence of something beyond human understanding, something evil that lurked within those walls. Determined to uncover the truth, Dr. Grant and I delved deeper into the hospital's history, searching for any hints that could lead us to the heart of this malevolence. Our research uncovered a peculiar connection. A former nurse by the name of Edith Ravenscroft had mysteriously vanished within the same ward years ago. We set out to uncover the truth surrounding Edith Ravenscroft's disappearance and uncover any clue that could point towards the lingering haunt. In the dusty archives, we stumbled upon an etching of a disgruntled nurse, her eyes filled with animosity and her hand clutching an old, worn-out diary. The pages within detailed life on the ward and the emotional deterioration of Nurse Ravenscroft. Her handwriting grew increasingly erratic, filled with accusations and paranoia. We were astonished to find that the date of her disappearance coincided with the initiation of the haunting phenomenon in the ward. Armed with this knowledge, we turned our attention to Nurse Ravenscroft's former colleagues, who may still be alive. One name stood out: Nurse Evelyn Moore, the last living connection to the haunted past. Nurse Evelyn Moore was a feisty lady in her late 90s. As we visited her, she regarded us with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. Her memories of Nurse Ravenscroft and the events leading to her disappearance were foggy, but she harbored enough suspicion to propel us down a twisted path toward revelation. Moore confessed to a secret accord formed between the nurses, an agreement to experiment on patients in desperate hopes of gaining recognition in the medical community. These experiments delved into forbidden territories, pushing the limits of human suffering. Edith Ravenscroft had offered herself as the first subject, consumed by the desire for medical breakthroughs and sacrificing her sanity in the process. In the diaries, Ravenscroft revealed her growing disillusionment with the experiments, exposing the moral turpitude of her colleagues. As her accusations mounted, so did the retaliation. Nurse Ravenscroft's haunting apparition was the manifestation of her vengeance, determined to expose the twisted tales lurking beneath the hospital's pristine facade. Equipped with this newfound knowledge, Dr. Grant and I confronted Nurse Moore, demanding her complicity in the torment that plagued the ward. In a fit of rage and desperation, she confessed, her voice trembling with remorse. Moore had allowed Nurse Ravenscroft's experiments to continue, even after witnessing the woman's mental deterioration. Armed with the truth, Dr. Grant and I worked to absolve the hospital of its haunted past. We unveiled Nurse Moore's secret to the hospital's board of directors, demanding justice for the souls that suffered within the tainted walls. Moore was promptly exiled, forever banished from the medical community she had betrayed. Within months, the deranged experiments were halted, and the ward was closed, forever sealing its dark secrets. Families and patients began to heal, their souls finding peace and solace outside the shadowy confines of St. Margaret's Hospital. As for me, I left the institution a changed woman, forever haunted by the horrors I had witnessed. The case of the haunted ward had tested my resilience as a nurse and unveiled the darker depths of human ambition. I vowed to use my newfound knowledge to help others, to be a beacon of empathy in a world ploughed by despair and fear. The echoes of the haunted ward would forever linger in my mind, a reminder of the terrifying power that dwells within the darkest corners of the human psyche. And so, dear reader, as I pen down this tale of horror and redemption, let it serve as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, For it is only when we confront our greatest fears that we can begin to heal and embark on the path towards true liberation.